The planet, Etheria, was a graveyard wrapped in a jungle. To the Galactic Compact, it was a protected, pre-industrial reserve. To Special Operations Sergeant Kalen Vance, it was 6 months of utter solitude, listening to the shrieks of alien fauna and the whisper of the wind through bioluminescent fungi. His mission was simple: observe, record, and do not, under any circumstances, interfere. He was a ghost, and ghosts make no sound. That doctrine shattered on the third night of the new lunar cycle. It started as a high, wavering keen that cut through the jungle's usual cacophony. It wasn't the screech of a predator or the death cry of prey. It was structured, it was language, and it was pure, undiluted agony. Every fiber of Kalen's training screamed at him to stay put, to log the event and move on. The prime directive, or its compact equivalent, was clear. But there was a second sound underneath the screams, a crackling, hissing sound he recognized from 100 campfires. The smell of cooking meat, strangely sweet, carried on the wind. Hell with it, he muttered, the first words he'd spoken aloud in weeks. He moved like a shadow, his active camouflage suit blurring his outline against the vibrant, alien foliage. The screams led him to a clearing where the massive, root-like trees formed a natural amphitheater. In the center, a fire pit blazed, and around it, a tribe of the native sentients, the Vorlax, danced and chanted. They were tall, insectoid creatures with chinless plates of iridescent blue and 4 multi-jointed arms. They were the planet's dominant species, classified as a tribal warrior culture, and they were the source of the screams. Tied to a spit suspended over the fire was a smaller alien. She was slender, with skin the color of moonlight and large, luminous silver eyes wide with terror. Her features were delicate, almost elfin, and she had long, fine sensory tendrils instead of hair. She was a Celestian. Kalen realized with a jolt, a species known as philosophers and artists, pacifists who had achieved FDL travel through pure intellect. A protected species, just like the Vorlax. One of the Vorlax, a larger one adorned with bones and feathers, screeched a command. Another tribesman rotated the spit. The Celestian girl's body, already blistered and raw on one side, twisted, and a fresh wave of screams tore from her throat. The Vorlax chattered in approval. Kalen's hand went to the stock of his Gauss rifle. His heart hammered against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the cold logic of his orders. Observe. Do not interfere. He was one man. He couldn't fight an entire tribe. The diplomatic fallout would be catastrophic. The Vorlax chieftain produced a long, obsidian knife. He held it up to the planet's twin moons, chanting in his guttural tongue. The girl's silver eyes, streaming with iridescent tears, fixed on the blade. Her screams died into ragged, hopeless sobs. That was the moment Kalen's humanity overrode his programming. He didn't charge in. That was a fool's gambit. He fell back on the oldest human military doctrine, the application of overwhelming, asymmetric force against a superior enemy. He switched his rifle to stun. Lethal force was not an option. Not yet. The first shot was a whisper of compressed air. The Vorlax tribesman turning the spit crumpled to the ground, his limbs twitching. The chanting stopped. Confusion rippled through the crowd. From his perch high in a tree, Kalen fired again. And again. 2 more dancers fell. The Vorlax scattered, their chittering cries turning from celebration to alarm. They scanned the dark jungle, their compound eyes unable to pierce his camouflage. The chieftain, however, was no fool. He barked orders, pointing his 4 arms in the direction of the shots. A volley of obsidian-tipped spears thudded into the trees around Kalen's position. One whistled inches from his head. Time for step 2. He deactivated his camouflage. To the Vorlax, he simply appeared, a hulking, bipedal figure clad in matte black armor, his face hidden behind a mirrored helmet. He stood, a stark, unnatural silhouette against the glowing jungle. A collective hiss went through the tribe. They froze, staring at this demon that had materialized from the shadows. Kalen raised his voice, his helmet external speaker amplifying it into a deafening roar. Let her go. He didn't know if they understood the words, but the intent was unmistakable. The chieftain shrieked in fury and hurled his obsidian knife. It was a powerful throw, but Kalen's combat reflexes were enhanced. He sidestepped, the blade clattering off the tree trunk behind him. He fired. The stunned round hit the chieftain square in the chest. The massive alien convulsed and dropped like a stone. That broke them. The sight of their invincible leader falling to an invisible weapon was too much. With panicked cries, the Vorlax fled into the jungle, leaving their fallen and their prize behind. Kalen was on the ground in seconds, his rifle scanning the tree line. The clearing was silent except for the crackle of the fire and the girl's shallow, hitched breathing. He approached the spit slowly, holstering his rifle and drawing a monomolecular blade. She flinched as he came near, her silver eyes screwed shut, expecting a final blow. "It's okay," he said, his voice soft again, the helmet speaker off. "I'm not going to hurt you." He sliced through the thick vines binding her. She was impossibly light as he carefully lifted her from the spit. Her back and side were a mess of severe burns. She whimpered as the cool night air hit the raw flesh. He laid her gently on a patch of soft moss and pulled a med scanner from his belt. The readout was grim. 2nd and 3rd degree burns, severe dehydration, shock. She wouldn't last the night without help. He injected her with a broad-spectrum analgesic and a trauma stabilizer. Her breathing eased slightly. As the pain receded, her eyes fluttered open. They were vast, liquid pools of mercury, filled with a terror that was slowly being replaced by a dawning, incomprehensible wonder. You are not of the forest people," she whispered, her voice a melodic chime, even through her pain. Her translator pen was working. "No," Kalen said, working quickly to apply a biogel bandage to her burns. The gel hissed as it made contact, sealing the wounds. "I'm a visitor. They called you a forest demon." Kalen almost smiled. "Sometimes." "Why?" she asked, her gaze locked on his helmet. "Why did you come? They would have killed you." "I heard you," he said simply. "I followed the screams." Her tendrils quivered. No one hears screams in the dark. No one comes. Humans do. He finished with the bandages and gave her a nutrient-rich water solution to sip. Color was slowly returning to her pale skin. He kept watch, his senses on high alert, but the Vorlax seemed truly gone for now. "I am Alara," she said after a while. "Kalen." "Kalen," she repeated, testing the syllables. "I was on a survey ship. Our shuttle crashed 3 cycles ago. They found me yesterday." She shuddered. "My people, we do not believe in violence. We cannot fight." "Sometimes," Kalen said, looking toward the jungle where the Vorlax had fled, "violence believes in you, whether you like it or not." "Is that a human philosophy?" "It's a human reality." He paused. "My people have a saying. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. I was told to do nothing. But you did not." "No." She was silent for a long time, watching him. "You risked your life. You broke your laws. For me, a stranger." Kalen looked down at her. This fragile creature who represented everything his own often brutal species was not. In her eyes, he didn't see judgment for his violent intervention, only a profound, bewildered gratitude. "It wasn't a risk," he said, the word surprising even him. "It was a necessity." As dawn began to tinge the sky with hues of violet and green, the low thrum of engines echoed through the valley. A Celestrian search and rescue vessel, sleek and silent, descended into the clearing. The Vorlax would have a new legend to tell. Of the night, a metal bird stole a demon's prize. 2 Celestrians, clad in simple white robes, hurried out. Their faces were etched with worry that turned to overwhelming relief when they saw Alara. They spoke to her in their chiming language, their tendrils intertwining with hers. As they gently loaded her onto a stretcher, Alara reached out and caught Kalen's armored hand. "Kalen," she said, her silver eyes holding his. "My people will speak of this. We will tell the compact that in the dark, when the screams came, a human followed. We will tell them that your strength is not for you alone." He gave her hand a gentle squeeze. "Get home safe, Alara." He watched the ship ascend, a sliver of silver against the dawn, until it vanished into the atmosphere. The jungle was quiet again, returned to its primal state. But something had changed. The silence was no longer that of a graveyard, but of a place where a choice had been made. Kalen reactivated his camouflage and melted back into the shadows, a ghost once more. But he knew a report was already being drafted in some Celestrian archive. It wouldn't speak of diplomatic protocols or non-interference directives. It would tell a simpler, more powerful story. A story that would echo through the stars. when one of their own was lost in the dark in a hopeless forgotten concept. It was a human who answered the call,